The Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Louvre, the Smithsonian. Walk through any major museum in the world and you'll see their name carved in marble, etched on plaques, immortalized in gold. Sackler, the Sackler Wing, the Sackler Gallery, the Sackler Institute, a dynasty of philanthropists, art patrons, cultural benefactors. But here's what those plaques don't tell you. The Sackler family fortune was built on death. 500,000 dead Americans. An opioid epidemic that destroyed communities, shattered families, and turned prescription pills into the deadliest drug crisis in American history. And the weapon? A little white pill called OxyContin. This is the story of how one family, the Sacklers, used lies, manipulation, and corporate greed to create an addiction machine. How they bribed doctors, deceived regulators, and marketed opioids like candy. How they made $40 billion while bodies piled up in morgues across America. And how, even after criminal prosecution and bankruptcy, they walked away billionaires. Because in America, you can kill 500,000 people and still keep your fortune, as long as you have good lawyers. The Sackler story begins with three brothers, Arthur, Mortimer, and Raymond Sackler, immigrant sons, Brooklyn kids who pulled themselves up through medical school in the 1940s. Arthur was the genius, a psychiatrist who revolutionized pharmaceutical marketing. He didn't just sell drugs, he sold ideas. He pioneered the concept of marketing directly to doctors, convincing them to prescribe specific medications through glossy ads, free samples, and sponsored research. In 1952, Arthur bought a small pharmaceutical company called Purdue Pharma. It was nothing special, a manufacturer of basic medicines, earwax remover, laxatives. But Arthur saw potential. He rebranded, he innovated. By the 1960s, Purdue was profitable. But Arthur's real legacy wasn't the company. It was the playbook. He taught the pharmaceutical industry how to manipulate doctors, how to blur the line between medicine and marketing, how to turn prescription drugs into billion-dollar products. And when he died in 1987, his brothers took that playbook and built something far more sinister. They called it OxyContin. In the 1990s, America had a pain problem. Millions of people suffered from chronic pain, back injuries, arthritis, post-surgical recovery. And the medical establishment had a rule. Opioids were dangerous, highly addictive, reserved for terminal cancer patients and extreme cases. Doctors were trained to avoid them. But Purdue Pharma saw an opportunity. What if you could convince doctors that opioids weren't dangerous? What if you could rebrand addiction as pseudo-addiction, a fake condition that just meant patients needed higher doses? What if you could claim that a new formulation was safe, non-addictive, and perfect for everyday pain? That's exactly what they did. In 1995, Purdue launched OxyContin, a time-release oxycodone pill. The marketing pitch was brilliant. One pill, 12 hours of pain relief, low risk of addiction. They cited a single paragraph from a 1980 letter to the New England Journal of Medicine. A letter, not a study, that claimed addiction rates for hospitalized patients on opioids were less than 1%. They twisted that into a blanket statement. OxyContin is safe. It wasn't. It was oxycodone, the same active ingredient as heroin. The time-release mechanism could be easily defeated by crushing the pill. And the result? An instant, powerful high that was more addictive than almost anything on the market. But Purdue didn't care. They had a product. Now they needed salespeople. Purdue assembled the largest pharmaceutical sales force in America. Thousands of reps, armed with bonuses, quotas, and one mission: get doctors to prescribe OxyContin. Not for cancer patients, for everyone. Back pain, knee pain, dental surgery, anything. The tactics were aggressive. Sales reps visited doctors' offices with free samples, luxury meals, paid speaking gigs, and all expenses paid trips to pain management seminars in tropical resorts. They tracked prescription data to identify high-prescribing doctors and rewarded them. They created a point system: prescribe more OxyContin, earn more perks. One former sales rep, Carol Panera, later testified that she was given a list of doctors ranked by prescription volume. The highest prescribers got VIP treatment, dinners at 5-star restaurants, tickets to sporting events, consulting fees disguised as research stipends. She described visits to pill mill clinics where doctors saw 100 patients a day, spending less than 3 minutes per patient, writing OxyContin prescriptions for cash without examination. "I knew what we were doing was wrong," she said in a deposition. "But my manager told me, if you don't hit your quota, you're fired, so I kept going." Purdue also created a sophisticated data mining operation. They purchased prescription records from pharmacies, completely legal, under lax privacy laws, and used algorithms to identify doctors who were hesitant to prescribe opioids. Then they sent their most aggressive reps to convert these doctors with misleading studies, cherry-picked data, and flat-out lies about addiction risk. Internal training manuals instructed reps to downplay addiction concerns. If a doctor expressed hesitation, reps were told to cite the fake less than 1% addiction statistic. If patients showed signs of tolerance, needing higher doses for the same effect, reps called it pseudo-addiction and recommended increasing the prescription rather than tapering off. And it worked. By 2001, OxyContin was a billion-dollar product. By 2010, it was Purdue's flagship, generating over $3 billion annually. Doctors across America were writing millions of prescriptions. Patients who came in with minor pain left with bottles of highly addictive opioids. Some doctors became millionaires just from the kickbacks. But Purdue knew the truth. Internal documents later revealed that executives were fully aware of the addiction crisis as early as 1997. Emails discussed problem patients who were crushing pills. Reports showed spikes in overdose deaths in regions with high OxyContin sales. One internal memo warned that OxyContin was being diverted to the black market at alarming rates. And what did Purdue do? They doubled down. They told sales reps to blame patients. Pseudo-addiction, they called it. If someone showed signs of addiction, they didn't need less OxyContin. They needed more. It was monstrous, and it was working. By the mid-2000s, OxyContin had become a national epidemic. Rural communities in Appalachia, the Midwest, and the Rust Belt were devastated. Small towns that had never seen serious drug problems were suddenly flooded with opioid addicts. Overdose deaths skyrocketed. Portsmouth, Ohio, once a thriving manufacturing town, became the pill mill capital of America. Doctors prescribed OxyContin to anyone who walked through the door. Pharmacies filled millions of pills. The town's population was 20,000, but in 1 year alone, pharmacies dispensed 10 million opioid pills. That's 500 pills per resident. The downtown was filled with zombies, people so addicted they'd do anything for their next dose. Families were destroyed. A mother in West Virginia named Marianne lost her son James to an OxyContin overdose after he was prescribed the drug for a minor sports injury. He was 17. She found him in his bedroom, lips blue, not breathing. The coroner said he'd taken just 2 pills more than prescribed. That was all it took. A father in Ohio named Robert watched his daughter Emily spiral into addiction after dental surgery. The dentist gave her a 30-day supply of OxyContin for wisdom teeth removal. 30 days. She was hooked within a week. When the prescription ran out, she turned to street dealers. She died at 23, alone in a motel room, a needle in her arm. Robert keeps her bedroom exactly as she left it. He can't bring himself to change anything. A husband in Kentucky named Michael came home to find his wife Sarah dead on the bathroom floor, an empty pill bottle beside her. They had 2 kids, 6 and 9 years old. He had to explain to them why mommy wasn't waking up. How do you explain that a doctor's prescription killed their mother? These weren't outliers, they were patterns. Emergency rooms in small towns were overwhelmed. Morgues ran out of space. Foster care systems collapsed as parents lost custody due to addiction. Entire school districts saw academic performance plummet as kids came to class traumatized, hungry, neglected. One high school teacher in West Virginia described it as teaching in a war zone. Half her students had a parent, sibling, or close relative addicted to opioids. She kept granola bars in her desk because some kids hadn't eaten in days. She attended more student funerals than graduations. And the data was undeniable. Between 1999 and 2019, over 500,000 Americans died from opioid overdoses. 500,000 people, more than the entire population of Atlanta, more than all American combat deaths in World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Iraq, and Afghanistan combined. And OxyContin was the gateway. Studies showed that 80% of heroin users started with prescription opioids. When people couldn't afford or access OxyContin anymore, when doctors finally stopped prescribing, or when Purdue reformulated the pill to be crush-resistant, they turned to street drugs. Heroin, fentanyl, substances 50 times more deadly. Purdue's pill became the on-ramp to a deadly highway. But while bodies piled up, the Sacklers were getting richer. By 2015, the family was worth an estimated $14 billion. They owned mansions in Manhattan, estates in the Hamptons, villas in the south of France. They donated hundreds of millions to universities, museums, and hospitals. Their name was everywhere, and they acted like victims. In 2007, Purdue Pharma pled guilty to criminal charges of misbranding OxyContin, though admitted they lied about the addiction risk. They paid a $600 million fine, a slap on the wrist compared to the billions they'd made. 3 executives were charged but avoided jail time. and Purdue kept selling OxyContin. The Sackler family, not charged, not even mentioned in the case. They claimed they weren't involved in day-to-day operations, just passive owners, innocent bystanders to a corporate crime. It was a lie. Internal emails later revealed that Richard Sackler, Purdue's president and family patriarch, was intimately involved in OxyContin's marketing. He pushed for higher doses. He celebrated sales milestones. In one email, he wrote that OxyContin's critics should be blamed and sued. In another, he fantasized about a new opioid that would be so scary that it would terrify addicts into compliance. This wasn't negligence, this was malice. But it would take another decade before the full truth emerged. In 2019, investigative journalists obtained thousands of internal Purdue documents. They revealed the systematic deception, the bribed doctors, the ignored warnings, the calculated indifference to human suffering. The public was outraged. Lawsuits flooded in, over 3,000 from states, counties, and municipalities demanding accountability. Museums began removing the Sackler name from their walls. Protesters showed up at Sackler-funded institutions with banners reading "Blood Money." And in 2021, Purdue Pharma filed for bankruptcy. But here's the twist. The Sacklers didn't lose their fortune. Through a controversial bankruptcy deal, they agreed to pay $4.5 billion over 9 years in exchange for legal immunity, no criminal charges, no personal liability. They got to keep billions. 500,000 dead, billions in profit, and they walked away free. Let's be very clear about what happened here. The Sackler family didn't accidentally cause an epidemic. They engineered it. They knew OxyContin was addictive. They knew people were dying, and they chose profit over lives. Every single time, they lied to doctors, telling them the drug was safe. They lied to regulators, hiding data about addiction rates. They lied to patients, marketing a dangerous opioid as a miracle cure. And when people started dying, they blamed the victims. Pseudo-addiction, drug-seeking behavior, anything to avoid responsibility. And here's the most infuriating part. They tried to buy redemption. The Sackler name is on museums, universities, hospitals, institutions meant to heal and educate. They wanted to be remembered as philanthropists, cultural icons, benefactors of humanity. But you can't wash blood off with art donations. You can't erase 500,000 deaths with a gallery wing. The Sacklers don't belong in museums. They belong in history books, next to other architects of mass death. Because make no mistake, this was mass death. Intentional, calculated, profitable. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The Sacklers couldn't have done this alone. They needed help. From doctors who overprescribed without asking questions. From regulators at the FDA who approved OxyContin despite red flags. From politicians who took campaign donations from Purdue and blocked opioid legislation. From a healthcare system that prioritized profit over patients. The opioid crisis wasn't just a Sackler crime. It was a systemic failure, a case study in how capitalism, unchecked, devours human life for shareholder value. Purdue Pharma's bankruptcy deal is the perfect symbol. The Sacklers pay a fraction of what they made, admit no wrongdoing, and keep their billions. The legal system, the one that's supposed to protect us, protected them instead. And the precedent is set. If you're rich enough, you can kill 500,000 people and walk away. You just need good lawyers and a bankruptcy court willing to play along. The Sackler family wanted to be remembered for their philanthropy, for their contributions to art, science, and culture. But history won't remember them that way. History will remember the bodies, the shattered families, the communities destroyed by an epidemic they created, marketed, and profited from. 500,000 dead Americans, and the Sacklers are still billionaires. If that doesn't make you furious, nothing will. Subscribe to Wealth Decoded, because the deadliest crimes aren't committed in dark alleys. They're committed in boardrooms, with spreadsheets, marketing campaigns, and legal immunity. And we're going to expose every single one.